YouTube, how's it going? The GOAT House is back, and today I'm going through every single NFL team, and I'm giving you their best draft fits out of mid-round prospects. So rounds 3 through 5 here, we did the same video with prospects from rounds 1 through 2, best fit for each team. So really excited about this, and we got plenty of mock drafts. Keep updating those. Plenty of draft content. Prospect rankings are coming up very soon. So we got you covered. So join us for that. Subscribe. Smash that like button while you're at it. Follow us on Twitter, Fan Vote and Mock Draft. Always talking about prospects, talking live during the NFL draft on there as well. And check out walkthemock.com. Use code GOATHOUSE if you sign up. That's where we hold our member mock drafts. Here's our Twitter, at GOATHOUSE NFL. You'll find a link pinned in the comments for this, along with all kinds of stuff that you need. Fan vote and mock going on. Once it's done, we're about halfway through. Once it's done, we will make a video out of it, and I'll kind of react to your guys' mock draft there. So start with the Jags. Mid-round draft fit, AMARI RODGERS, wide receiver from Clemson. I think he falls in that round 3 category. You know, maybe he sneaks in late 2, maybe he's early 4. You know, he's one of those guys that has a decent range there within the draft. I'm thinking round 3 kind of makes sense. He did play with Trevor Lawrence. That's really not why he's a fit. That's kind of a bonus. But the Jaguars, they got a pretty solid receiver unit. Do they have a true slot receiver, though? They got guys that could fill in at the slot receiver position, maybe a Laviska Shenault, you know, guys that can play there here and there. But you got a true slot receiver here in AMARI RODGERS. More part of the rotation, and you know, with a guy like Trevor Lawrence, you want to have that top tier rotation. You're going to be a pass first team here, so I think RODGERS fits that. You know, kind of what you're missing. Got a pretty good, you know, DJ Chark, hell of an outside receiver. Marvin Jones, hell of an outside receiver. Laviska Shenault, kind of a utility guy. You can do a bunch of different things with them. But RODGERS, a pure slot receiver. So I think that makes sense as a fit there. Has the chemistry with Trevor Lawrence as well. The Jets, I want Baron Browning. I think they'll be looking for more of a coverage linebacker. And it's tough to pinpoint the exact one, but I would like Baron Browning for them. You know, could be that coverage linebacker for Robert Saleh in that scheme. You know, probably will start, outside linebacker. Could line up in the slot when you need him to as well. So pretty versatile defender, high motor guy. So, you know, they'll be looking, you know, around this range. He could sneak into round 2, but they'll be looking around this range for that type of linebacker. It's tough to say when they'll actually take one. You know, if a guy like Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah falls to them with their second pick in the first round, and there they can fill that right there. You know, it's not at the top of their list, but they're going to want a good player there. I think Browning's a pretty good fit. The 49ers, I actually got a running back for them. Jermar Jefferson actually could fit with the Jets as well. The Jets having some of that 49ers coaching staff there. I think he's a perfect fit for those style of offenses, you know, some outside zone, but they want a tough dude at the same time. You know, they're kind of picky with their running backs, but they don't really need that high-end guy. They're going to get a guy around round 4 or round 5. I just really like the way Jefferson fits. You know, he kind of ran their scheme already, and he has that physicality with that vision, that one-cut ability. So I just really like the fit with those type of schemes there. So I plugged him in there with the 49ers, and, you know, they could use another guy. I like Mostert a lot, but has the injuries. And, you know, I mean, Wilson's solid, but they could use a starter of the future, and that could be Jefferson. You know, this guy, you know, for a round 5 pick, this guy could be really a long-term answer here. You know, there's some sneaky running backs around that range. Could go round 4, like I said, as well. The Falcons going to go Chris Rumph for this new Dean Pease defense. They're going to want, you know, more of an athletic pass rusher opposite of Dante Fowler Jr., who can also drop back in coverage if you need him to, because Dean Pease is going to want to blitz Deion Jones and company, you know. So I like Rumph as a fit there. You know, there were some concerns. Is he a little undersized? Maybe. He did put on a little weight showing up at his pro day. He was pretty damn productive at Duke. So that's fantastic. I think he goes around that round 4 range. You know, production-wise, it may say, you know, maybe around round 3, but yeah, I'm thinking 4. Could even sneak into early 5. You know, some good players always drop. On to the Bengals. I think they could be looking for interior more than the tackles. You know, it's up in the air. You know, I keep talking about, do they want Jonah Williams to stay at left tackle? They have Riley Reiff at right tackle. Or are they, you know, looking for the interior guys more? I like Aaron Banks. You know, I'm hearing he could sneak in round 2. Early round 3 for the Bengals would make sense to me. I think he, possibly could play center as well, but I like him at guard. So it could be a fit to kind of just get the run game going with a guy like Joe Mixon. You paid him all that money. Why? Because he's very talented, but hasn't really showed that much. It's just because you really need that run game going. So that's why I'm starting to think they could target interior guys like this to get the run game going, because that's very important to them. And a successful run game will open up the passing game. It will make things easier on a guy like Joe Burrow. So that could make sense to me. The Dolphins, go to Jackson, another offense. I'm a Jackson Carman, another team, just like the Bengals. It's tough to decide what they'll do. We talked about the Bengals. Will they move Jonah Williams to guard? It doesn't really feel like it. Will the Dolphins move Robert Hunt to guard? You know, he feels like a guard, but it doesn't really feel like they're going to do that. Jackson Carman actually played some tackle at Clemson, but I view a lot of upside here at the guard position. But it makes sense to me because I think he could be a day one starter inside, next to Robert Hunt. But if you want to slide him out to tackle and you ever change your mind, you want to move, a guy like Hunt, who I think has Pro Bowl ability at the guard position, you have the versatility here. So that's why it made sense to me. But it's a very... Again, same thing with the Bengals. It's a very unpredictable team when it comes to offensive linemen, based on how they valued it in the past, who they picked, some surprise picks, but we really don't know what they want to do because they very well could move those guys, like I said, to guard, which would be a good idea. We just don't know. They're not going to come out and say they are, or that they will, they won't right now, because that'll kind of give away what they may want to do in the draft. But I like this fit of Carman from Clemson here. The Lions, I'm going to go Trill Williams here. I think the Lions will be in the market for more of a slot safety. Coming from the coaching staff, coming from that Saints staff, that Saints tree. I try to find, try to replicate Chauncey Gardner-Johnson here, actually, a safety turn, kind of slot corner with that same build. And to me, it's Trill Williams here. So I think they'll like him, and he possibly can play in a slot. Remember, they moved on from Justin Coleman, more of a slot corner, who could play outside corner if he needed to. But Trill Williams, kind of that, nickel / safety hybrid, which they could use there, maybe around round 4 there for the Lions. The Panthers, Walker Little. Yeah, Walker Little, talent-wise, probably a first-round tackle, really, but didn't play this past year and has a lot of injuries in the past, so he will drop a little bit. Tough to say where he'll go exactly. Let's see how his medical checks go, but around that round 3 range, I think the Panthers would be willing to take the risk on that. I think he'd be a good fit for them in their scheme at left tackle, maybe protect Sam Darnold for the future there. Broncos, JAMIEN Sherwood from Auburn. Broncos don't have a whole bunch of needs, but a guy like Kareem Jackson, they cut and they brought back on a 1-year deal. Pretty important to that defense, that box safe that flies around, gets in the backfield. So maybe trying to prepare for that for the future, because this has got to be it for him. And this, Sherwood's probably the closest thing to maybe a guy like Jacoby Stevens from LSU, but I think Sherwood probably the closest thing to that. They don't have to take this guy super high because they do have Jackson in place for this year, but it's a pretty important role for them to replace for the future. So it could be a guy like Sherwood, a safety that almost plays like a linebacker, the way he flies around the field. So we'll see if they look to attack, that role now before it's too late there. The Cowboys, I'm going to go KHYIRIS Tonga from BYU. I think a big-time sleeper, not a lot of people talking about him. Very solid nose tackle. And I guess it's up in the air what they want to do with Neville Gallimore, who they drafted out of Oklahoma last year. Gallimore actually played more nose tackle for Oklahoma, but his body, his build, he's got a good amount of burst too, the way he plays. Doesn't really feel like the Cowboys want to use him as an NFL nose tackle, so they may be looking for a true nose tackle. Tonga, very strong, good in run support. Got a good amount of pressures for a nose tackle as well. I think some people are concerned just because, he didn't play the best competition. That's not really a negative to me. I think he fits the Cowboys at that nose tackle position. Pair him with Gallimore for the future. Pretty good young duo there on the inside. Giants going to go with Deontay Brown. I think he's a perfect fit in their scheme. A power blocker, possibly to replace Zeitler in the inside there, depending on what they want to do, because they do have some young guys that can step up. But I think it's a guy you can possibly get in round 4, which I do think it's a fit. And it's one that's up in the air too, because could they target a starting guard or a lineman in general early on, or do they feel like they're set there? Do they wait till around this range? Some guys with some upside, perhaps. We'll see. Definitely interesting. The Eagles, they could go receiver early. They could wait till around this range. I like Dwayne Eskridge as a fit. He was a dominant receiver at Western Michigan. Played very well outside. I view him as a dominant slot player in the NFL, but could do both. You love the potential of versatility because he did mainly play outside. So that's the type of guy they can use. Rager's more of an outside guy that you can get the ball underneath, even though he's an outside guy, maybe some end arounds or the deep shot with him. Fulgham feels like an outside guy. ESKRIDGE, can start in the slot, also play outside because I think they're looking for, they like outside receivers, but they're going to need a little bit of versatility there. So ESKRIDGE, home run hitting wide receiver, dominant on the slants. So if they don't go receiver early, this is a guy, they would have to go a receiver within the first 3 rounds. They would absolutely have to. You do get some good value here with a guy like ESKRIDGE in round 3, so it's something to look out for. Chargers going to go James Hudson, the Cincinnati tackle. Here, it's another one, another team that they could go left tackle early, but there's most likely going to be some players on the board in the first round that are just better overall talents. The tackles, in that range, if it's Darsaw, if you're confident with putting Vera Tucker at left tackle, keeping him at left tackle rather than guard, they're worth that pick. But there's some guys, some other players, whether it's a receiver, a cornerback, around those, in that range, they might be better overall players. So you could wait for that tackle and get some pretty good value with a guy like Hudson there. I like the fit there, pairing him with that Herbert offense. Hudson, he has some really good moments. There's a lot of plays kind of schemed up where he's part of a double team, so it's kind of a mystery. It's kind of unknown. Could he handle that in the NFL level when he's by himself? There was times where he didn't play the best competition, but could be a good value pick in round 3. The Vikings go offensive lineman as well. Kendrick Green, I think, is a fantastic fit around round 3. Another team that needs a guard. They're not really, are they likely to go? They could go a guy like Vera Tucker from USC in the first round and plug him in at guard. It's very possible. But, are they going to take a guy to play at guard that early on? They'll most likely wait around this range. Vikings with their outside zone scheme. Green is fantastic, blocking at that next level on running plays. It's exactly what fits their scheme. So I think that's one of those really good fits there that they can look to attack in round 3. And they don't have round 2 pick, but that would be a good target in round 3. Patriots take Gowan from Central Florida. Patriots, they got a pretty good duo with Gilmore and J.C. Jackson. J.C. Jackson's still sitting on that tender. A team could sneak up and take him still. You could definitely make the assumption that he'll be back, but is it a 1-year thing? Gilmore got 1 year left. They could extend him, but they could be looking out for a cornerback in the future. They like the long, athletic corners that could play man coverage, and this is probably the guy of round 3 in that range. Maybe a guy like Melifonwu, if he's there, could be a round 2 guy. So a couple of different options there for the Patriots to look out for the future. Cardinals, I like Rhamondre Stevenson, the running back from Oklahoma, for them, maybe around that round 4 range. They let Kenyon Drake go. And they value Drake, though, on the field. They gave him the ball. Some people thought they gave him the ball too much, and they ran him inside. They ran him like a power back, and he's a little balanced. He can be that. And they kind of want that power back that they can run just straight up the gut. They do some delays, some draws. That can handle that load to pair with a guy like Chase Edmonds, but they are also a pass-first team. So if you can find that rare player that is that power runner, can handle that, can pair with Chase Edmonds, and can catch the ball, you kind of hit the jackpot in that type of offense. And there happens to be a guy that fits exactly that in Rhamondre Stevenson from Oklahoma, and they're going to run a very similar style offense. I mean, Kyler Murray's there, so that's pretty evident. So that works out to me. Could sneak into round 3. I think he's such a good fit for the Cardinals that they could be looking to make sure they get him. But I think in round 4. Raiders, I like AMON-RA St. Brown for the Raiders. They definitely could use another receiver. They got Henry Ruggs, who's kind of that straight line guy down the field, play outside quite a bit. Edwards, feels like more of an outside guy as well. Renfro could play a little bit of a slot, not an every down receiver. And they have John Brown, who's who's the outside, kind of the straight line guy. AMON-RA St. Brown dominated in 2019, playing a lot in the slot, but also had the versatility to play well on the outside. And this year, he played more outside, looked very good, also filled in the slot, dominates the slot. So I think the Raiders would love that versatility. I think they'll play him in the slot like he did in 2019 quite a bit. I just really like that fit. I think it'd help him take them to the next level there, which they definitely could use another receiver, in my opinion. Washington, going with Brendan James. I like his tape a lot. Bully of a blocker. I think he could be a sneaky guy to maybe start day 1. especially a team looking for a left tackle. They may look for that starter earlier in this, but they can get a guy like this. I think worst case scenario, he's a starting guard. So this could be a sneaky guy in mid rounds here from Nebraska. Would like him for Washington. For that Scott Turner style offense there. Chicago Bears, about Nico Collins. The Bears took a jab at Kenny Golladay in free agency, so they're looking for another receiver. It's tough to say if they're just looking for, just a playmaking receiver in general, or if they're looking for that specific style of receiver, because remember, they moved Allen Robinson, not moved him in general, but they played him a little bit more inside last year, and that got him going even more, helped the separation game a little more, and that made him even better of a receiver. So maybe they're looking for that lengthy outside receiver like Kenny Golladay, and that could be a guy like Nico Collins. Is he going to be as good as Kenny Golladay? No, but remember, Golladay wasn't a high pick as well, necessarily a high pick. But Collins, a fast, contested catch, deep ball guy, so they could be looking to add somebody like that. So kind of in the similar style of Kenny Golladay here that they could grab in round 4. The Colts, I like Paulson ADEBO from Stanford for them. Their cover 2 scheme. I think he could thrive in that scheme. He was getting some, there was even some first round buzz, but some second round, mainly early second round buzz before this season where he opted out. So, the talent's probably there. I like him in that zone, though, with that cover 2. I think he has the ability to thrive in that. And they could be looking for another corner because Xavier Rhodes is a 1-year thing. And then Rock Ya-Sin is, I still like his upside. I think people get on him too much. I still kind of like him. He needs to play better, though. But there's no guarantee there, obviously, is what I'm saying. The Titans, how about Elijah Molden for the Tennessee Titans, maybe round 3? I think they could be looking for a true slot guy. It's tough to say what they'll do with a guy like Amani Hooker, who has some experience in the slot, but I think he'll take over for Kenny Vaccaro at that strong safety position. Molden could do that as well, but I like Molden as just a dominant, pure slot player, which they'll value. Remember, they traded for Desmond King and did not get him back in free agency. So I think they'll be looking for a guy like this, the versatility, really instinctive during the play in coverage. So knows how to attack the ball, gets hands on the ball. So I think they'll like him around that round 3 range. Steelers go with Spencer Brown, upside tackle here. Potentially could be starting at right tackle right away for them. Maybe ideal for him to sit for a year, learn a little bit because he has the ideal body, I guess, combined with the athleticism and power. So the Steelers could be looking to add a guy like that. And again, because they need a right tackle, so he could start right away. Maybe learn for a year because, maybe are they that desperate for a guy? Okafor, maybe he could start for another year. I think they're desperate to get better at that position, but, do they want to hurry him in? But I do like the fit in their scheme there. Browns, I like Jordan Smith. I like Jordan Smith a lot. Extremely lengthy and athletic pass rusher. Has the production as well. Usually those guys just don't have the production. Maybe you want him to put a little more size on him so he has more power because for 4-3 end, you want him to be a little more powerful. But the Browns will be able to develop him right, learning from Myles Garrett as well. I like the fit there on their defensive line. I would love this pick for them. I really like it. I think he's got tons of upside while he already has the production. Ravens, I like Creed Humphrey a lot for them. Could sneak into second round, feel more comfortable round 3. He's going to be a power, gap blocker. At the center position, gap scheme, which involves a lot of power blocking, obviously. And that fits what the Ravens are trying to do here. And they were lacking at the center position last year. It actually cost them some games, really. Some big-time plays, at least. But I think it resulted in a game or two. So adding a guy like Creed Humphrey, the center from Oklahoma, could be a target for them because I do think it's a fit. Saints, I like Josh Palmer a lot for the Saints. I think he's going to have a better NFL career production-wise than he did in because of college because of the quarterback play mainly. Jameis Winston needs some more weapons out there. They need to get guys going downfield more. They specifically need some downfield weapons. Josh Palmer does a good job downfield fighting off a defender, tracking the ball. He can do more than just downfield as well. I just really like him in a Jameis Winston type offense. So I love that fit. He's getting a lot of buzz. Could sneak in that round 3 range. I would just really like him for the Saints. I think it's a fantastic fit. Packers, Robert Hainsey's got Packers written all over him, Notre Dame offensive lineman. He actually played right tackle for the Fighting Irish. He was pretty darn good there, but I really like him on the inside. He got reps at guard. He got reps at center. He can play everything. The Packers love that versatility. And I think they put him if they put him anywhere, I'm confident the Packers put him in any of those spots. Bully of a blocker, they'll like him. If they want to keep, put Turner at right tackle, they could put Hainsey at guard. They could put Hainsey at right tackle. They could put Hainsey at center if they want him to. So I think the style of play, I think it's a fit, and the versatility makes it a fit as well. I think it would be a really good value pick in round 4. The Bills, Cameron Sample from Tulane, kind of a round 3 sleeper. Had really good production at Tulane in terms of getting pressure. He could turn that more into sacks in the NFL. A powerful pass rusher, strictly fits a 4-3 defensive end. A defensive end in a 4-3 scheme, which is the Buffalo Bills. And the Bills are pretty picky about their defensive ends. You have to have a certain level of physicality, which I think Cameron Sample has that. They just need... I think they need to stop being – they got to be less picky because they just need to find guys that actually get the quarterback down. But I think Sample kind of fits that, all of that, what I said. So I think they'll like him around that round 3 range there. I think it's a fantastic fit. Chiefs, Brady Christensen, the BYU tackle. They'll mix it up, style of blocking a little bit, the Chiefs, that is, and I think Christensen fits that. I think he could fit zone and man blocking, could fit left tackle or right tackle. So they definitely could use that. They might be set in terms of their starters. They could get better, so they may wait till around this range. He could go round 2, very possible. Tampa, I love DEMETRIC FELTON for Tampa. I like him at running back or receiver. I almost prefer him he played more running back UCLA. I like the way he runs. I think he's got pretty good vision. He's got some good moves. He's got a pretty good spin move. Stronger than he looks. He looks pretty built, but in terms of his size, his weight, he's a little stronger. Could catch the ball in the backfield, downfield, could play receiver, play in the slot. Catch the ball very well, very good after the catch. The Buccaneers got a good amount of running backs right now. They don't have that true pass-catching running back. At the same time, they can use him at receiver. Currently, they didn't sign Antonio Brown. They're not really coming to agreement on the price point, apparently. So, and they tried to get a guy like James White in free agency. End up going back to the Patriots. So this could be your James White / Antonio Brown. Makes a lot of sense to me here. Seahawks go to receiver. I like Tutu Atwell for him. Tutu Atwell, speedy, explosive playmaker, can dominate the slot, could play outside, so you like the versatility, but really could be very good in the slot. He's dropping. There's probably teams that probably wouldn't take him at all because he weighs 155, which is extremely light for the NFL. I don't really have a problem with it because he can play. I like him on the Seahawks, so I think they can use the speed guy that can play in a slot, keeping Metcalf and Lockett outside. They definitely need another guy like this. They can get creative with him on end arounds and, things like that. And they're looking, they were looking at guys like, there's rumors about Antonio Brown. They try to get a guy like Willie Snead, Sammy Watkins. What do all those guys have in common? Explosive plays, speed, slot receiver that also can play outside. That's Tutu Atwell. I don't think they'll be worried about the size, too, because Tyler Lockett, there was some concerns coming out that he was undersized. They took a shot on a guy like Paul Richardson, was extremely light. So I don't think they have a problem with it. I think they'll like his play. So I see it's something they can benefit from, and I see him as a fit. And it's definitely a team that it's a shame, but there's probably teams, because there's some old school guys around, and the Seahawks even have some, but because he weighed 155, there's probably teams that scratched him off the board because they're that strict. I just don't think the Seahawks are one of those teams. So I thought it all made sense to me. Rams go at Osa Odighizuwa from UCLA. Potentially a Michael Brockers replacement here that I like. Kind of can play that role, can move around a bit. Has the flashy plays. His highs on tape are very high. Almost looks like a top-tier second-round pick, perhaps. And there's some lows. Sometimes he gets off balance. Sometimes teams will put him on his ass. At times. So there's some really good moments and there's some down moments. There's not a whole lot of huge negative moments, but one of those guys, if you can put a little more strength on him, which I think the Rams will be able to do, pair him with Aaron Donald, I think he can have some success out there. Possibly could target him around that round 3 range. And the Texans, I like Rashad Weaver for them. This feels like a Lovie Smith defensive end here, which they could use another one. They bring in Shaq Lawson. They try to trade Merciless. He just couldn't get it done, so they end up working his contract. He's going to be gone after this year. He doesn't really fit. They like these power pass rushers, these guys that got the hand technique, the hand strength, and that's Weaver. He was very productive. You kind of just worry about the speed. I kind of worry about the speed for the Texans in general. Lovie Smith type defense, Lawson, Weaver. It's the type of guys they love, but you wish there was a little more speed in there, but you got a lot of power in there, and Weaver was extra productive at Pittsburgh. There's a lot of times where I would kind of, watch Pittsburgh and, during the year, and you kind of be looking out for a guy like Patrick Jones. Weaver would end up being, standing out a little more. So I think they'll like him. They definitely could use a pass rusher of the future to pair with Shaq Lawson out there. So that is my mid-round fits. Again, we did this video for fits that included guys from first or the second round for teams. A lot of videos on the channel, a lot more to come, more mock drafts, prospect ranking starting in the near future, and we'll have you covered throughout the NFL draft with grades, winners, losers, and we'll talk on Twitter throughout the whole draft as well. So any link that you're looking for will be pinned in the comments. But that is going to do it for this one. Thanks everyone for watching. Goodbye.